we are looking at some single leg training. So we're going to work on the split squats, and we're going to set the split squat up to use some front foot elevation. The intention with this structure is to hit the quads and the glutes with the fullest possible range of motion. So what we're looking at is I've got a small box in front of me. Usually for most people, something that's maybe about 4 to 6 inches in height is going to be appropriate. But it also depends on how tight you might be. The tighter you are, the higher the box surface you're going to want to use. So my intention is that when I drop into the bottom of my split squat, so I'm looking at a couple things. My feet are just hip distance apart. I want to set them up like I'm standing on a couple of train tracks. So I want a little wider base for some stability. As I step, I'm checking to make sure that my knees and toes are facing dead ahead on this side. And then as I step back with this side, I want a decent amount of space so that I can move primarily through this side. This back leg can stay pretty extended at the knee. It doesn't have to stay locked, but it should stay pretty extended. We don't want to intentionally push this knee down toward the ground. All the movement is coming off of this side. I've checked my hips, knees, hips, and toes are all facing dead ahead this direction. I'm moving through this knee. The knee is traveling forward. The front heel is staying on the ground. I need to come all the way down until my hamstring makes contact with my calf muscle. Okay, so if I'm super tight in the hips or super tight in the quads or even in the calves, you may have to build up the height of this foot. So this is 6 inches. Some people might need to add something on top of this like a bumper plate or use a slightly larger box to create that angle. But the whole intention is to go full range of motion. If we can't connect the hamstring to calf, we're not doing full range of motion. One of the biggest values behind this type of movement is its coordinating movement between your quads, your glutes, and even your inner thighs in a way that fits with just moving and walking. Okay, so the glutes and the inner thighs are functioning as stabilizers. My glute medius over here, my adductor muscle over here are stabilizing. Then my quad and my glute max are actually what's going to extend me up out of this bottom position. So I got a big stretch in my rectus femoris, so my quad muscles here. My glute max, the biggest glute muscle, is in the fullest stretch position here. This is one of the few movements you have where you can actually get the glute into a full stretch position. Okay, there's a lot of movements that we can get a big contraction, not a ton of movements where we can actually take the glute into its fullest range of motion. This is one of them. So I want to get all the way down into this low position right here and then drive up. So it should look like I'm riding an escalator when I come down. And then as I press up, I don't want to go back this way. I want to go right back up in reverse the way that I came. So I'm going to add some weight to this. I'm going to show a handful of reps with some load. We're looking at dumbbells. Dumbbells are probably the easiest way to load this. You can load it with a bar. The biggest challenge to loading it with a bar is that you're taking your hands out of it from a stability and safety standpoint. So you just need to make sure you've got a significant amount of stability before you start loading it with a barbell across your back or across your chest, maybe like a front squat position. So when we add dumbbells, I'm getting into the spot. I want to keep the weights either right beside my hips, or my personal preference is to almost frame my foot with the weights on the way down. So when I come down, my dumbbells at the bottom of the lift are right on the outside of either foot. And then I drive up and back into extension. So come down nice and slow, let that knee travel forward, hit that bottom position. I haven't relaxed anything, everything is still real tight. And then I press up and out. So again, quads and glute max are doing a ton of work. Then my glute medius and my inner thigh are functioning as big stabilizing muscles just to keep everything working in that straight line. So that is the split squat. Make sure that when you're doing this, you're working the full range of motion. Again, if you need to adjust your height so you can get into that full depth, then do it, but give it a shot.